Syrian stockpile is reportedly the fourth largest in the world. U.S. officials now say that their contingency plans call for sending out small teams of fighters to protect or destroy any weapons at risk of falling into the hands of al-Qaeda or other militant groups. A senior Pentagon advisor tells Fox that airstrikes are less likely due to the nature of those chemical agents. With us now, former State Department senior advisor Christian Whiton. He is currently a principal at the consulting firm D.C. International Advisory. What do you make of this move by the president? Do you agree?
I think it's good that they're planning. It's clear that Defense Secretary Panetta got an earful on this from the Israelis. He was there earlier this week, and that's what prompted this change in rhetoric from Obama, where he's been a lot more clear about potential U.S. involvement.
Yeah, but the problem is when you get in there and you send special forces in there, Christian, there's always risk, sometimes great risk.
I think that's right, and there's extreme risk here. If you invade a country with small forces, especially if, unlike Libya, we don't have the okay from a new government, because there's not going to be a coherent new government in Syria immediately following Assad.
So what you're saying is just because they hate Assad doesn't mean they're naturally going to love us?
I think so, and we really haven't done much to manage the future outcome. You know, there are groups among the rebels who are more secular and more likely to partner with the U.S., but because we're not providing them arms, we've not really gotten in good with them.
What happens if Assad does go? I mean, these weapons, we saw this in Libya. We talked about this in the break. All these RPGs were missing and these stockpiles of weapons, and we sent contractors in there to get them out. What happens if Assad goes to these weapons? How do we know that we know where we're going to end up, where they're going to end up?
All right, there's a real risk that some of them will go loose, because we know that there are factions in Syria, al-Qaeda, and other extreme Islamists who would like to get these weapons. So, you know, without being on the ground and without having a plan ready, we're not really sure what happens.
What about Israel? How do they play into this? I mean, we look at the chessboard in the Middle East, and we know that Syria is a proxy of Iran, and we talk about Hezbollah and that. What about Israel? How do they play in? They attacked Syria back in 2008. I believe it was. Really no blowback then. What happens if Israel gets involved and they attack Syria this time?
I think there's a real risk of that, and I think that's increasing back when when Israel blew up Al-Kabar, which was a North Korean-built facility in Syria to build nuclear weapons eventually. And yeah, they're not going to let the world's most dangerous weapons just sort of exist and go loose right on their border.
But what do they have a lot to risk, though, going in there, right? I mean, this is not just going in and tagging somebody's nuclear weapons. This is going into what is now a civil war in Syria and getting involved in that, right?
That's right. It's also the risk that Assad could use an Israeli strike to galvanize his own support and undermine the opposition, painting them as agents of Israel. So multiple risks. Also, this is not just one facility like Saddam's nuclear facility or like Assad's nuclear facility. We're talking about multiple sites.
Quickly, Assad, near the end?
It's very hard to say, but yes, because they're seeing sustained operations against them in Damascus and Aleppo, I think it's looking better, but it's very hard to time.
Christian Whiton, good of you. Thank you.